For over a decade, a dark specter haunted the most celebrated football club on earth, an unseen entity feeding on dreams, whispering doubt into the hearts of millions. Dare to gaze into the abyss where legends are forged not by skill alone, but by a primal will that defies the grave itself. The long, cold shadow. It was more than just a trophy, it was an obsession, a relentless hunger that gnawed at the very soul of Real Madrid. 9 European cups glittered in the hallowed halls of the Santiago Bernabéu, a testament to past glories, yet they felt like mocking eyes, reflecting the ever-growing void of the 10th. La Novena had been secured in 2002, a triumph that should have heralded an era of dominance, but instead, it opened a terrifying chasm. 12 years, 12 agonizing seasons, each one a descent deeper into a self-made purgatory. The expectation became a suffocating shroud, a weight that crushed champions and shattered dynasties. Coaches came and went, titans of the game with the Midas touch, yet the curse of La Decima clung to them, a parasitic entity draining their vitality. Each season began with a flicker of hope, swiftly extinguished by the cold breath of the past. The Bernabéu, usually a cauldron of celebratory roars, became a stage for collective anxiety, its vast expanse echoing with the ghosts of what-ifs. Every missed shot, every conceded goal in the Champions League knockouts, felt like a deliberate act of sabotage by an unseen hand. The club, accustomed to being the hunter, became the hunted by its own history. This was not merely a losing streak, it was a psychological torment, a chilling testament to the power of a number, a silent, creeping dread that infiltrated every corner of the institution. Players, steeped in the club's glorious past, spoke of the pressure in hushed tones, acknowledging the phantom adversary that stood between them and glory. The journey felt like an endless night, a forced march through a landscape littered with shattered hopes and unspoken fears. The very fabric of their identity, once woven with threads of invincibility, now frayed under the constant, unrelenting strain. This wasn't a game, it was a crucible, a trial of endurance against an abstract, monstrous force. The whispers grew louder with each passing year, suggesting a hex, a cosmic imbalance, a price to be paid for past arrogance. They were trapped in a loop, reliving the same nightmare with different faces, each defeat a fresh wound in the collective psyche of its fanbase. The ascent into darkness. The 2013-2014 season began with an ominous hum, a low thrum of anticipation that felt less like excitement and more like the prelude to a storm. Carlo Ancelotti, a man whose calm demeanor belied a steely resolve, took the helm, tasked with exorcising the most persistent demon in Real Madrid's history. The squad was a terrifying arsenal: Cristiano Ronaldo, a creature of pure, unadulterated will; Gareth Bale, a blur of speed and power; Sergio Ramos, the unyielding rock; and Luka Modric, the maestro pulling the strings. Yet, talent alone was never enough to appease the curse. The path to the final was a gauntlet, each match a step deeper into the darkness. Schalke, Dortmund, Bayern Munich, each opponent presented its own terrifying challenge, but the true battle was internal, a fight against the crippling weight of expectation. The semi-final against Bayern, the reigning champions, was an epic confrontation, a clash of titans where Madrid finally showed a glimpse of the monstrous hunger required. A 4-0 annihilation in Munich, an unprecedented act of defiance, sent shockwaves across Europe, yet even then, the dread persisted. Could they truly break free? Or was this merely a fleeting reprieve before the inevitable, crushing disappointment? The final destination was Lisbon, a city steeped in maritime history, now poised to witness a different kind of voyage, a journey into the heart of fear. The opponent was Atlético Madrid, their city rivals, a team forged in fire and grit, led by the fanatical Diego Simeone. Atlético had famously embraced the mantra, "Effort is not negotiable," a chilling declaration that promised an unyielding, brutal battle, an existential threat to Madrid's gilded aspirations. This was not just a derby, it was a confrontation of ideologies, a battle for the very soul of Madrid football. The stage was set for a nightmare or a miracle. The clock's relentless tick. May 24, 2014. The Estadio de Luz in Lisbon pulsed with a nervous energy, a palpable tension that hung heavy in the air. The vast stadium, a modern coliseum, seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the first drop of blood. Real Madrid, cloaked in white, stood opposite Atlético, a wall of red and white, their faces grim, determined. The opening minutes were a blur of frenetic action, a brutal test of nerves. And then, the first gut punch. A set piece, a moment of confusion, and Diego Godin's header found the back of the net. The stadium erupted in a horrifying cacophony of red and white ecstasy, while the white half of the arena fell into a stunned, deathly silence. It was a cold, hard blow, a chilling reminder of the curse, a whisper that said, "Not again." The clock, once a silent observer, became an executioner, its relentless tick-tock counting down the precious minutes, each second draining hope from Real Madrid's veins. Passes went astray, shots flew wide, the usually infallible Cristiano Ronaldo looked human, frustrated, a caged beast. The weight of the world, the cumulative despair of 12 years, pressed down on every white shirt. The game devolved into a desperate struggle, a primal scream against an encroaching darkness. Atlético, true to their nature, defended like a unified, monstrous entity, a red and white wall that seemed impregnable. Real Madrid threw everything they had, wave after wave of desperate attacks, yet the ball refused to cross the line. Gareth Bale, the club's record signing, found himself in a golden position, a clear header, and inexplicably, he missed, a moment that felt like a premonition of doom, a cruel twist of the knife. The final whistle drew nearer, each minute a hammer blow to the heart. 90 minutes, 85, 88. The vision of Atlético celebrating, of the curse tightening its grip, became terrifyingly vivid. The fans, their voices hoarse, their faces etched with despair, watched as their nightmare materialized before their very eyes. This was the moment of reckoning, the precipice of another brutal failure, another season sacrificed to the unyielding phantom of La Decima. The scream against fate. The clock crept into the final, agonizing minutes of normal time. 90 minutes were up. The fourth official raised his board, 5 added minutes. 5 precious, terrifying minutes that felt like an eternity. Hope had withered, replaced by a cold, heavy resignation. Atlético's victory felt inevitable, a predetermined act of cruelty. Real Madrid players, their bodies screaming from exertion, their minds clouded by despair, pushed forward one last time. It was a desperate, almost suicidal charge. Luka Modric, the heartbeat of the team, earned a corner kick. The final, desperate throw of the dice. The ball was placed, the atmosphere electric, yet thick with fatalism. Modric stepped up, his face a mask of grim determination. He swung his foot, and the ball soared, a white arc against the darkening sky, heading towards the penalty spot. Time seemed to warp, to stretch, to stand still. And then, a figure, a force of nature, rose above the red and white defenders, a man possessed by a single, primal instinct. Sergio Ramos. His head connected with the ball with a sickening thud, a sound that echoed like a gunshot in the silence of Madrid's despair. The ball flew, a bullet fired at the heart of the curse, past the outstretched hand of Thibaut Courtois, into the back of the net. The world erupted. It wasn't a cheer, it was a guttural roar, a collective exorcism, a scream of defiance against the very concept of fate. Ramos, a warrior, a titan, had snatched salvation from the jaws of oblivion, in the 92nd minute and 48th second. The ghost of La Decima, for a fleeting, terrifying moment, recoiled. The match was tied. The game, once dead, was violently resurrected. The floodgates of fury. The equalizer was more than just a goal, it was a psychological earthquake. Atlético, once so resolute, now looked shattered, their impenetrable wall breached by a single act of impossible will. The dread transferred, the haunting uncertainty now settling over their shoulders. Extra time began, a new game, a fresh torment. Real Madrid, reborn from the ashes of defeat, felt the adrenaline surge through their veins, their exhaustion momentarily forgotten. They were no longer desperate, they were ravenous. Their hunger, once a source of torment, now became a weapon. Atlético, drained physically and mentally, struggled to keep pace. The floodgates, once slammed shut, had been ripped open. The second goal arrived, not with the dramatic flourish of Ramos, but with a relentless inevitability. Gareth Bale, the man who had missed the easier header, now found redemption, ghosting in to head home a rebound. The curse, truly, was broken. The third goal, a moment of pure, savage beauty from Marcelo, felt like a ritualistic cleansing, a final blow to the lingering doubts. And then, Cristiano Ronaldo, finally finding his moment, converted a penalty, sealing the 4-1 victory. It was an annihilation, a complete reversal of fortunes, a brutal, beautiful demonstration of power. The 12-year nightmare dissolved into pure, unadulterated joy. The specter of La Decima was not just banished, it was annihilated, its power shattered by the sheer, unyielding force of human will. The players, once burdened by history, now stood as masters of their destiny, their faces streaked with sweat and tears of triumph. This was not merely a victory, it was a rebirth, a terrifying testament to what happens when raw, primal human determination refuses to bow to the weight of the past or the cruelty of fate. And so, the phantom that haunted the Santiago Bernabéu for 12 long years was finally, violently, laid to rest, its defeat a testament to the untamed, elemental force that courses through the very veins of human will. For even in the darkest abyss, the relentless tick-tock of the clock merely sets the stage for the primal scream against fate.